Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention? The program will begin shortly.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to our distinguished guests, presenter, participants, line ministry, ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted to have you here today for the closing ceremony of the 5th Asian Population Association Conference in Jakarta of the wonderful Indonesia. This year's conference features more than 100 presentations attended by more than 700 participants from different countries in the world. We truly hope that you have fruitful experience of learning, sharing, and networking. However, all good things must come to its end. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the 5th Asian Population Association Conference has been held for 3 days and discussing many session topics on population issues. And today, the 5th of August 2021, the closing ceremony of the APA conference will gladly invite 4 high officials from BKKBN Indonesia, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy Indonesia, UNFPA Indonesia, and of course, Asian Population Association. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, we would like to request the honor to invite Professor Rizal Martuadamanik, PhD, the Deputy for Training, Research and Development, BKKBN Indonesia, to deliver his remarks. Professor Rizal Martuadamanik, PhD, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. May peace be upon all of us. Professor Aris Ananta, PhD, the President of the Asian Population Association, the Indonesian Ministry for Tourism and Creative Economy, the Director of Meetings, Incentive, Conventions, and Exhibitions, and the Director for Marketing Communication, Ibu Siti Masruro, Dr. Anjali Sen, the UNFPA representative to Indonesia, Dr. Joko Pitoyo, the head of the Center for Population Studies, University of Gajah Mada in Yogyakarta, dignitaries of BKKBN, both central and provincial offices from all over Indonesia, all the conference participants from international and Indonesia, line ministries, academics, NGO, and media, their colleagues of the committee from the Center for International Training and Collaboration, or PULIN, of BKKBN, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that during the past 3 days, we have had a fruitful discussion at the 5th APA conference. We can learn a lot from all the keynote sessions delivered by extraordinary keynote speakers, with 8 parallel sessions, 2 plenary sessions, and 2 special sessions. There are 2 plenary sessions with 6 invited speakers who have shared their interesting works. Once again, on behalf of the Indonesian government, I extend my greatest appreciation to all speakers for delivering such important materials to sharpen our knowledge about the population issues, family planning, reproductive health, and stunting. Furthermore, I'd like to thank all the presenters and participants who attended this conference for all over the world. I'm sure that every presenter who has presented one of those 14 themes delivered good research results. I hope that through the presentations and discussion we held, we can contribute to solve population problems in our respective countries and especially the world. Even though our contribution may be small, I believe it is still valuable for the world. Excellencies, distinguished guests, and participants. Finally, I'd like to congratulate the organizing committee of the 5th Asian Population Association Conference for organizing this very important forum in 2021. It is a great honor for the National Population and Family Planning Board, the government of the Republic of Indonesia, in co-hosting this prestigious conference together with the Asian Population Association, the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, UNFPA, University of Gadjah Mada, held from 3rd to 5th August 2021 virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a proverb in Indonesian. Ada perjumpaan, maka ada perpisahan. Which means, when there is a meeting, then there will be a farewell. Hopefully, the COVID-19 pandemic will end soon so that we can meet each other physically and face-to-face to discuss directly and to enjoy the beautiful exchange of culture and tourism among Asian countries. I thank you very much. Good afternoon. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Rizal Martuadamanik, for your insightful address. Next, we would like to invite the Director of Meeting, Incentive, Convention, and Exhibition of the Indonesian Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy to deliver her remarks. The Director, Ibu Masruroh. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good day. Firstly, I would like to congratulate National Population and Family Planning Board, BKKBN, Asian Population Association, APA, Universitas Gadjah Mada Yogyakarta, and United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, which has successfully held the 5th Asian Population Association Conference from 3rd to 5th of August 2021 and attended by 898 participants. Wow, I hope that you are physically come to Indonesia, but can meet online. Hundreds participants from 35 countries, which are consist of 314 international participants, 430 Indonesian participants, 13 UNFPA participants, 18 moderators, 58 medias, 42 committees, and 23 invitees. I'd like to extend my regard to the President of APA, Mr. Aris Ananta, Deputy Regional Director of UNFPA APRO, Ms. Annette Charles Robertson, Rector of Universitas Gadjah Mada Yogyakarta, Mr. Panut Mulyono, Chairman of BKKBN, Mr. Hasto Wardoyo, Deputy for Training, Research and Development BKKBN, Mr. Rizal Damanik, Vice President of APA, Mr. Premchand Domaraju, and UNFPA representative for Indonesia, Ms. Anjali San. Anjali said. Thank you for APA who has chosen Indonesia, specifically Yogyakarta, as the host for the conference. Even though due to the COVID pandemic, regretfully this conference was conducted virtually from Jakarta. As we all know, this pandemic, people's mobility and how we conduct business activities are changing. COVID-19 is surely the game changer, but we have to always be optimistic that this hard time would pass and people could adapt to the new normal. Ladies and gentlemen, to face the new normal, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy has three pillars of strategy. Those are innovation, adaptation, and collaboration. With innovation, we have to be able to create a new product in tourism and creative economy sector. Then we have to be able to adapt with the new normal by implementing strict health protocol and collaborating with all stakeholders. Our support to the fifth APA conference is one of our efforts to encourage business tourism sector to thrive in pandemic situation by holding the conference virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, the changes we experience due to the pandemic surely have efforts on people's behavior, specifically on travelers' behavior. We will see a mega shift on travelers' behavior towards nature, ecotourism, wellness, and adventure. Travelers will choose quality tourism, which emphasizes on health, safety, and security. They'll be more concerned on social, economic, and environmental issues as discussed in this conference as well. Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy have adjusted the strategy to meet the travelers' preference by developing sustainable destination and tourism products that give unique experience to travelers by interacting with the local society. Meanwhile, the creative economy sector has a huge contribution for the survival of people in the pandemic time. We see a lot of new small enterprises related to culinary and craft initiated by local housewives being established. Those SMEs could thrive amidst pandemic and contribute to welfare and this is why, ladies and gentlemen, we think that topics in this conference such as labor, demographication, happiness, health, and quality of life, well-being, and aging are also related to tourism and creative economy sectors. From this conference, we found many interesting issues related to the population in Asia that directly or indirectly could affect tourism and creative economy sector. This topic relevant to how tourism and creative economy sector will develop their product and adapting to change. Lastly, before this conference closed, I'd like to say thank you one more time, and I hope to see you all soon in our destinations in Indonesia after situation permitted. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, stay safe and healthy always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibu Masruro, for your kind remarks. Next, we would like to invite Dr. Anjali Sen, the UNFPA representative to Indonesia, to deliver her remarks. Dr. Anjali Sen, the screen is yours.
Terima kasih Pak Uki. Good afternoon, selamat siang. Pak Rizal Damanik, Deputy for Training, Research and Development, BKKBN. Ibu Masruro, Director of Meetings, Incentives, Conventions and Exhibitions, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy. Dr. Joko Petoyo, Director of Center for Population and Policy Research Studies, Universitas Gadjah Mada. Professor Aris Ananta, President of APA, Professor of University of Indonesia's Economics and Business Faculty. Premchand Damaraju, Vice President of APA, members of APA, and participants of the 5th Asia Population Association Conference. Good afternoon, Selamat Siang. It is an honor for me to be here with you today at the end of this 3-day thought-provoking and vibrant discussion on population and development in Asia at the 5th Asian Population Association Conference. For the past 3 days, we have discussed and exchanged thoughts on critical issues ranging from male involvement in family planning in Indonesia, demographically differentiated vulnerabilities to global environmental change and COVID, to the welfare of older persons by Professor Aris Ananta, very well articulated and explained, exciting use of big data in demography by Francesco Villari, and expecting the unexpected in population projections by Charles Hirschman, to name just a few. We've seen that we've had over 100 presentations and over 700 participants. It's a great number to have at this virtual conference. Professor Aris Ananta has highlighted the grim reality that older persons face in their retirement age and breakthrough solutions to overcome the low payouts of their pension. And Dr. Evi Arfini emphasized the need to promote and provide job opportunities for older persons to ensure their well-being and their activeness. Professor Francesco Villari enlightened us on the impact of digitalization on demographic behavior and exciting use of big data in population studies, leading to the anticipated need of new types of demographic data to understand demographic phenomena better. Professor Charles Hirschman reminded us also how the use of data has changed from the 1960s, and that efforts to understand demographic phenomena through population projections must be careful in making predictions and projections, and must prepare for the unexpected, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, which indeed no one saw coming. And Dr. Dian Christiani Irawati highlighted the need to involve men in family planning, not only as users, but also as partners and agents of change. Dr. Sito Morang highlighted the role of digitalization in bridging the communication gap between adolescents and parents. And Dr. Momo Makino highlighted the need to ensure girls can continue their school and have access to opportunities for paid employment as an effective way to prevent child marriage. Professor Jean-Yang Vijun talked about the impact of COVID-19 on family as the basic socio-economic unit of society, which bears the brunt of multiple stressors caused by disruptions to healthcare systems, schools, governments, markets, and law. And Dr. Raya Mutarak discussed how demographic perspectives can shed light on the understanding of differential vulnerability both to climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Deepak Nair discussed how the pandemic impacts migration and the livelihoods and well-being of people, with a disproportionately large burden on the poor. I cannot emphasize enough the richness of the variety of topics discussed, the in-depth knowledge shared, and the timeliness of the discussions throughout this 3-day conference. Esteemed colleagues, guests, participants, we are all struggling to cope with the global pandemic that has threatened not only our physical health and lives, but our overall well-being and livelihood. Many of us have been directly affected by the pandemic and have lost loved ones along the way. In Indonesia, as the emergency public activity restrictions continue, we are facing an overwhelming impact of heightened risks of infection and mortality as new and more powerful virus strains are emerging. The number of daily COVID-19 cases in Indonesia has been rising, and that has also added to more than 3 million cases in total now, and hospitals and health facilities have been overburdened and medical supplies have been affected. And meanwhile, we are stepping up our vaccination rates. uh, uh, and this, of course, affects the provision of essential health service. And we know over this past year and a half that the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has indeed exposed weaknesses in healthcare systems globally. When most resources are focused on handling the pandemic, life-saving essential health services, including sexual and reproductive health services, tend to be overlooked. And we know and we have seen that vulnerabilities and inequalities have increased, affecting mostly marginalized communities who have had to bear the brunt of restricted access to sources of income, health services, and other essential life-saving services. At the same time, women and girls are also facing heightened vulnerability to gender-based violence, harmful practices like child marriage, and female genital mutilation, and other sexual and reproductive health issues. UNFPA's recent study estimates that 12 million women have experienced disruption in family planning services since the COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in 1.4 million unintended pregnancies. A big data analysis that UNFPA and UN Women released earlier this year also found considerable increases in the number of online searches on violence against women and how to get help from intimate partner violence in 8 Asian countries, including Indonesia, Thailand, and Bangladesh. With these setbacks, in the years to come, our efforts to deliver on the International Conference on Population and Development Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals will remain a challenge, especially among low and middle income countries. Therefore, in these trying times, it is more urgent than ever that we come together and support each other in strengthening community resilience and our collective response to protect women, girls, and other vulnerable groups through policy, research, and all the work that you are doing so that we ensure that no one is left behind. Esteemed colleagues and guests, the COVID-19 pandemic has also impacted demographic parameters and population dynamics. We are facing changes in mortality, fertility, and migration or population mobility. And a lot of that has been discussed over these 3 days. Mortality among people infected with COVID-19, especially older persons, is changing life expectancy in countries heavily affected by COVID-19 and in failing in overcoming the pandemic. On the other hand, we know that disruptions in family planning services and fertility plans might increase fertility and unintended pregnancies amongst vulnerable groups in some countries and lower it in other countries. We do not know for sure how COVID-19 will affect birth rates, however. We are witnessing a change in population mobility with restrictions in travel and migrations both domestically and internationally. At the same time, however, as more people work from home and spend more time at home, we have indeed found ways to stay connected thanks to the digitalization of the world. And this virtual conference is a testament to the limitless possibilities we can make in the midst of all the limitations. Thanks to technology, we can now reach those who otherwise would be hard to reach and connect those who otherwise would not be able to meet without leaving the house. So the pandemic should not stop us from continuously working together to find innovative solutions to shared issues that do not stop during the COVID-19 pandemic. And while we are gathering, the data shows us how much the pandemic has changed our lives. And we must continue to respond to this global crisis and the ensuing demographic shifts by prioritizing human rights, including equal access to sexual and reproductive health information and services. We know universal access to sexual and reproductive health information and services, especially for women and girls, is the primary goal of the cooperation between the government of Indonesia and UNFPA for the period 2021 to 25. And here we are focusing on our 3 zeros: zero maternal death, zero unmet need for family planning, and zero gender-based violence and harmful practices. a collective vision that followed the global commitment that was made at the landmark 1994 International Conference on Population and Development. By making these 3 zeros a reality will also support the achievement of the SDGs by 2030. And of course, we will continue to implement programs that focus on policy change, advocacy, knowledge sharing to meet all our targets of reducing maternal mortality, improving rights-based family planning, improving youth potential and adolescent reproductive health, and reducing violence and harmful practices against women and girls, and of course, the integration of population data. Dear participants, I'm optimistic that all the research findings shared during this conference can help inform evidence-based policy making and all the potential innovative solutions to shared population issues offered can really contribute to real positive change. The discussions remind us to pay attention to the implications of population dynamics, such as the increase of aging population, especially on their health, well-being, and welfare, to anticipate the latest technological developments, especially digitalization, that produce big data as alternative sources of population data, to have robust methods in demography as the theoretical basis to understanding demographic phenomena, and to be aware of potentially unexpected events in the future. I'm confident that with the discussions we have had for the past 3 days, those will turn into action and they will lead to real lasting change in the key issues that populations are facing today. Lastly, I would like to congratulate APA BKKBN for this very successful and significant conference. I would like to thank the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy for their support to this conference, and I really appreciate the role and initiative of APA in bringing together and facilitating knowledge exchange amongst the experts, academics, practitioners, and institutions amidst this very turbulent time. And a big thanks, as I mentioned, to the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy for its support to this event. We look forward to more fruitful discussions and collaborations in the future. Terima kasih, stay safe, stay well, stay healthy, everyone. Take care. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you very much, Ibu Dr. Anjali Sen, the UNFPA representative to Indonesia, to deliver your remarks. Lastly, to present his closing remarks and officiate the closing ceremony, we would like to invite Professor Premchand Domaraju, the Vice President of Asian Population Association. Professor Premchand, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Pak Ukik. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dominic, Ibu Masrua, Dr. Anjali Sen, Dr. Joko Widodo, and Your Excellencies. We had a very fruitful 3 days of presentations, discussions. In my closing remarks, I want to extend my thanks to all the parties that were involved. And after that, I would like to speak on some matters related to APA's council matters. So as was said earlier on, by any measure, this has been a very successful event. We had close to 800 registered participants. We had close to 110 presentations, live presentations. We have more than 100 pre-recorded presentations and posters. If you are not looked at the posters and the pre-recorded presentations, I would encourage you to do that. They're going to be on our APA website for another 6 months. They're also listed in our program. Please take a look at those pre-recorded presentations and posters. And this has happened during this very difficult pandemic. And this virtual conference was made possible by the efforts of many people, starting from the APA. Let me thank my president, Dr. Professor Aris Ananta, who has worked tirelessly to bring this event to this grand success. Our council members, APA council members, and especially APA Secretariat based at Mahidol University in Thailand, has worked tirelessly over the last year or so to bring this event to this success. My next thanks goes to the National Organizing Committee, who have worked extremely hard. I mean, the effort that has gone into conducting this virtual conference is even more than that would have required for a physical event. So they worked extremely hard. Pa Ukik, headed by Pa Ukik, colleagues from UGM, all the colleagues from BKKBN, our vendor from EGO have worked extremely hard to conduct this conference. So my deep appreciation to all those who have been involved from the National Organizing Committee to successfully conduct this event. I would also express my thanks to UNFPA and the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, who have supported our program. So in addition, let me also thank all the participants, all the 100 or so participants who presented during the live session, all the 100 or so participants who have uploaded their videos, their posters on our websites, the moderators, the plenary speakers, and each and every one of you who have contributed to this program in one way or the other. This program would not have been possible without all your contributions. Let me also add my thanks to the scientific committee for putting this program together, for the reviewers of the abstracts, and many other people who have been involved in the different stages of organizing this conference. Over these last 3 days, we heard from different speakers sharing their thoughts. I hope this would stimulate further research. This would aid in policy formulation, and we can build on all those that was discussed in the last 3 days. So once again, thank you all for your effort. This would not have been possible without all your contributions. With that, let me move on to some matters as they relate to the council. I'm going to share a PowerPoint. So in the council, the first thing I want to highlight is that we will have our General Assembly for the council in November. So all the APA members will get an invitation. Please come and participate in the council meeting in November. Besides that, the term of this council, the 5th council, will end at the end of this year. So we are preparing for the next council, and in preparation for the 6th APA council, which will take office in 2022, there are certain things as members we would request you to do. If you're not joined APA, please consider joining APA and supporting our activities. We need all the support that you can give us. So the election of the next council will be held online between 16th August and 15th September. All members of the APA will get an invitation and instructions on how to vote. Today, I'm going to share the candidates for the next council. So the candidates for the next council was chosen by the APA's nomination committee, which was headed by, which includes the following five members: Professor Apachit, Professor Zingan, Professor Aziz, Professor Pengte, and Dr. Jijabai. The nomination committee has chosen the candidates for the election for the next council. So let me thank the nomination committee for their work in choosing the candidates for the next council. For the president, there are 2 candidates, Professor Hayashi from Japan and Professor Zhao from China. All the bio of the candidates would be available on our website. So when the online voting system opens, you will have an opportunity to look at the bios and the CVs of all the candidates that have been nominated for the next council. For the vice president, Professor James from India and Professor Stuart Gatel-Beston from United Kingdom. For the Secretary General, we have two candidates, Professor Nimfa Gaina and Professor Samir. Professor Nimfa from the Philippines, Professor Samir from Nepal. For the treasurer, we have two candidates, Professor Kanchan Chitra from Thailand and USA, Professor Potisiri from Thailand. For the council members, we have several candidates, Professor Brenda Yo from Singapore, Professor Chen Chen Yang from Malaysia, Professor Edith Gray from Australia, Professor Fatima Torabi from Iran, Professor Kaiko Osaki Tomita from Japan, and myself, Professor Sergei Ryansensek from the Russian Federation, and Professor Pun Puning from Thailand. We have two more for the council members, Professor Chow from South Korea and Professor Zheng from China. So these are the candidates for the next council. The election will start from 16th August and will close on 15th September. You will get an invitation from on your registered email address. All the members of APA are requested to vote and select the next council. And as I said, we will have a General Assembly to discuss APA matters in November. You will get an invitation for that quite soon. So those are the council matters. And let me again thank all the APA members who have participated in this event, all the APA members who have supported us throughout this 2 years of our term, and all the people who have helped us to make this event a grand success. So with that, let me once again congratulate and thank every one of you, and I hope all of you stay healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Premchand, for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that the e-certificate for all presenters, moderators, and participants will be sent to your email address. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the closing ceremony of the 5th Asian Population Association Conference. We would like to thank you for your participation during the conference. We would like to convey our gratitude to all colleagues from BKKBN Indonesia, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy Indonesia, Asian Population Association, Universitas Gadjah Mada Yogyakarta, UNFPA, and Ego Global Asia Corporation to make this event come together. Thank you for joining us today. Until this moment, the closing ceremony of the 5th Asian Population Association Conference. We hope to see you again in the next 6th APA conference. Until then, stay safe and healthy. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day.
still here, waiting for you. We still remember the awe in your eyes. We can still hear your clapping for us.